before we get into the draft, because I know our big draft show is going to be, okay, we're going to look at these people getting picked. I had an idea that I want to go through the first round, and I want to kind of pick out trade scenarios, possible trade scenarios of what teams we would think would want to trade back or trade up
okay. I like that.
to get
I like that.
a higher pick in the draft. So, without further ado, I guess we can get started if y'all are ready. I have all the teams put up here. I think we can agree that 1, 2, and 3, so the Bears, the Commanders, and the Patriots are probably going to stick with their picks. We can agree with that. That's not, we don't even want to go.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Because I don't imagine that they are gonna trade back because they're in a very good position. So the first team I want to point out is the Arizona Cardinals. And we saw last year that the Arizona Cardinals are no stranger to trading back in the draft to acquire more draft capital, as they have 2 first-round draft picks this season. Now, I think
4th and 27th.
the last time someone had 3 first-round draft picks, if I'm not mistaken, was the Miami Dolphins back in 2020. So it's been a couple years since somebody has 3 first-round draft picks. If the Cardinals were to trade back in the first round to somebody with 2 first-round draft picks, aka the Vikings or something, they would have 3 first-round draft picks, and they have never had 3 first-round draft picks in a draft ever. So this would be the first time the Cardinals have done this, which would be interesting. So let's think about the possible teams that would want to trade up to number 4. In my mind, it could be, the Vikings. People are saying, hey, the Vikings want J.J. McCarthy. I don't really like that much. But we could say, hey, the Vikings are going to trade up to number 4. If this happens, first of all, who do you see trading up to number 4? I think, personally, the Cardinals stay put. They just traded Hollywood Brown. I don't know if it was trade or free agency, but they got rid of Hollywood Brown. And they're going to want a good wide receiver replacement. And what better replacement than the 4th best wide receiver prospect of all time, Marvin Harrison Jr.? So what y'all think?
All right. So real quick, off the top of my head, and I got to check this to make sure, because I don't remember what his contract, because he just signed a contract. What's Kyler Murray's contract right now at? What years is left? So he signed a
4 years left, I think.
4 years left, yeah. So he signed 5 years, $230.5 million contract extension that runs through 2028. Well, they've kind of handcuffed themselves a little bit, I think, with that, unless they're going to end up getting rid of him as well. So I don't know. I kind of might be in the same boat as you, Connor, with saying that Zona might be staying pat, because that's an awfully huge contract for them to want to offload, unless they completely back end it and they're paying him years after he's already off that roster. And then that's also convincing me that J.J. McCarthy is going to be the next Will Levis. And which, in a way, if you guys don't remember from last year, Will Levis was somehow predicted. Was it last year or 2 years ago now?
Last year.
Will Levis was predicted to, some people predicted Will Levis to be in the top 3 potentially.
That was
top
me.
10.
I've had him in number 4, I think.
That was me. I could totally see him staying, or the Cardinals staying pat, just because of the sheer fact that, I'm sorry, unless what Harbaugh is doing, the propaganda that Harbaugh is spewing out, McCarthy's the man, he's the best quarterback, he's great. And the fact that people are still reading into this clown, sorry, he's not a clown. I shouldn't call him a clown, but it's a clown take.
I think he's smart. I
don't care.
He is in salesman mode right now. He is trying to get as much draft capital as he can for his team. This is not something that he genuinely thinks.
That's not a good. That's not what we're talking about right now. Being a salesman right now is completely different from being a GM for a team. So what I'm saying right now is that's an absolute clown take. And if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, I'm staying pat and I'm not reading into that, and I'm not letting anyone trade up. I'm picking Marvin Harrison Jr. in that spot, because I think the first 3 picks that are off the board are going to be quarterbacks.
I agree. MJ.
I think that's the most logical. I'll be honest, I was not listening to the question because I was trying to figure this thing out. Who's going to trade down?
We're going through the first round, and we're going to find trade scenarios for each of the picks in the first round. We've established that the fourth pick, it goes to the Cardinals, and they're no stranger to trading down in the draft. They did it last year if they were going to do it this year. And Bruce and I are like, okay, well,
I think they might do no, I think the Bears might do a Texans and use 9 to trade up. I know Bruce might disagree with this, and that's fine. But
I have a point on that too.
What'd you say?
He said he has a point on it.
Okay. Let me just put it this way: if anybody wants to go up, 4 is the spot. I don't think the Chargers move. The Giants need to stay there.
Hold up, let's stay with the Cardinals. We're gonna go by pick. I don't want to confuse anybody.
So the Arizona Cardinals pick number 4. Is anyone trading up for pick number 4, MJ?
I think if anybody does, it's the Bears.
Okay, well, let's talk about that scenario. What do you see the Bears trading up to 4 to get? I mean, it's Marvin Harrison Jr. for sure, but how do they get number 4? Do the Bears have the draft capital in order to trade up to number 4 with that? Trade a player with it.
9 and a future first-round pick because there's nobody you're going to get in next year's draft that's going to be because there's nobody you're going to get in next year's draft that's better than Marvin Harrison.
That's exactly what it'd be. It'd be this year, the 9th pick this year, and the next year's first round. Potentially, if Poles is stupid, and I don't think he is, potentially the 2nd round pick that they got from the Panthers too.
Yeah. So if Marvin Harrison is as advertised, which I believe if anybody in this draft is going to be, it would be Marvin Harrison Jr., obviously. I think then it is worth it. Minnesota could beat that, but I don't think Minnesota goes all the way up to number 4. The example I saw recently, and I think this is a really good one, is in the draft where the Bills took Josh Allen. Everybody thought the Bills were going to move up because they had multiple first-round picks, and everybody thought they were going to make a big jump to the top of the draft to go get a quarterback. They stayed down in the more mid-rounds of the draft, got Josh Allen, and kept their draft capital, and now here they are today. Obviously, you can make questions about some of the decisions they've made afterwards, but they were able to find their guy without sacrificing a lot of their future.
There's only 2 teams also I can see ahead of the Vikings that could potentially trade up from that spot or draft a quarterback ahead of that spot, in my opinion.
Between 3 and 11?
4 and 11.
Well, let's keep going until we get to those.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Are you done with the Cardinals, MJ? Okay, so the 5th overall pick, and me and Bruce talked about this just a while ago, is Jim Harbaugh's in salesman mode, right? So he's saying, hey, JJ McCarthy, although these other 3 guys are probably going to get picked before him, JJ McCarthy is the best quarterback in this draft class. He's in salesman mode, and Bruce thinks this is clown, whatever. I think it's genius. He is a new head coach going into the NFL since what 13? It's been 13 years or however many years, 11 years since he's been back in the NFL. He's trying to get back into the system. He's trying to get back, and he wants to make it as easy as possible for him to do this. So he's in sales mode. He's saying, hey, if you want this guy so bad, trade up to number 5. And I think that somebody's going to take the bait. And if there's anybody that's going to take the bait, it's the Minnesota Vikings. They just acquired another first-round draft pick, and this is almost indicative of what they are going to do, trading up and drafting a quarterback like J.J. McCarthy. So I think if anybody's going to take this Chargers 5th overall pick, it's the Vikings because they're so desperate. They have Sam Darnold as their starting quarterback. They are so desperate. And I think they trade up to number 5.
Here's the only problem with that.
Okay, you're gonna say the exact same thing. Go ahead, MJ.
I don't think JJ McCarthy is the type of quarterback that they want to draft.
I don't like him either.
I think. Well, I think they're much more likely to take some. So, JJ McCarthy isn't the type of quarterback that they've had almost ever. If you think about all of the Vikings quarterbacks over the years, they are gunslingers. JJ McCarthy is not a gunslinger. So, like, you go all the way back to even Dante Culpepper, Brett Favre, and now in the more recent years, the Sam Bradford, the Case Keenum, the Kirk Cousins, even Nick Mullins last year. Like the quarterbacks that succeed there, they sling the football. So
Air raid offense.
JJ McCarthy is not that guy. He may succeed in a different type of system. He would not succeed there. I agree with what Jack says. Much better in a McVay, Shanahan type offense. So that's not Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota is going to do that. Cy is right. I think Minnesota is more of the Michael Penix or the Bo Nix tier, where they could get them later in the first round or even make a move in the second round. So with that being said, I don't think Minnesota trades up for number 5 because they're going to sacrifice too much, where right now they need to build talented players and as many of them as they can get.
I agree. If
Cy, I see you smirking in the background. What? That was
I
not
didn't
on
even hear
purpose.
a sound.
Or was that Bruce? Bruce.
Hands on the iPad.
If I were the Vikings, I stay. You have draft capital. If I were them, you draft something really good at 11.
I saw that. I saw that one.
Sorry, Connor. Go
You
ahead.
draft something really good at 11. Say, okay, well, maybe JJ McCarthy falls to 11. If you really want him, draft him. But in the last mock draft I had them drafting an O lineman to help out that rookie quarterback. So they draft a quarterback and a lineman in the first round. They don't trade up, and that's fine. But it's just something about the Vikings and what all these draft analysts are saying and stuff is something's gonna happen. Something's gonna bite. And I mean, it's just I'm kind of starting to believe it. Bruce,
Well,
what you got?
So, okay, real quick. Obviously, to make any trades, you have to have willing participants from both parties.
Exactly.
And well, I do like the idea of like, okay, if Minnesota wants to trade up, they'll trade up. But I think the guy that they want is going to be there at 11 regardless. And because of that, I think that Harbaugh, while I did say that his sales tactics are clownish, I do think he's very smart and very what's the word I'm looking for? No, he's just very, very methodical. There you go. He's very methodical with his with what he says, despite the fact that most people think that he can be somewhat idiotic with things. So that being said, who are the starting wide receivers right now for the Chargers?
The Chargers, Joshua
Quentin Johnston.
Palmer, and Quentin Johnston.
Exactly. They just got rid of Keenan Allen to the Bears. They also let go of Mike Williams.
Michael Williams.
Yeah, they just got rid of him as well. So again, I think this is another spot where let's not overthink this. They need a receiver. I think this is a spot where Malik Neighbors goes, and it'll help out Herbert and hopefully help the adjustment for Harbaugh, go back into the NFL be easier.
Well, you never know with the draft, right? What if the Vikings think, hey, if the Giants get that 6th pick and it falls to them and nobody has drafted JJ McCarthy? Not that I think the Giants.
That's always a what if.
The Giants would be so stupid.
Oh
to
yeah,
have
but they're the
JJ
Giants.
McCarthy and Daniel Jones.
I think you're also going to have. I think at that point you're going to have Daniel Jones 2.0 on your roster with JJ McCarthy. Just my opinion.
I would laugh at them. Neighbors.
Who you got next?
Feed families.
Well, let's keep going. We'll get to the 6th. I think the Giants stay put.
Yeah.
I don't see the Giants moving here. And then the 7th, I know Jack said that he does not see Titans trading down. I actually disagree. I think that the Titans have made every single team in this AFC South besides the Colts have made big moves this offseason. And the Titans making those big moves are saying, okay, well, if we were to draft, say, a tackle, which we just traded for a tackle from the Browns. So we have a tackle, even though he might not be Joe Alt. If we were to draft a wide receiver here, we just signed Calvin Ridley to a very big deal. Okay, well, we have this tackle that might not be Joe Alt, but he's good enough for now. So with that being said, we might want to wait another year to get another Joe Alt type prospect in the next year's draft. So let's acquire that draft capital. Let's trade back and see what we can get for that number 7th pick. And that's my mindset with Tennessee.
Dude, I don't know if they even trade back either, just because of the sheer fact that the Titans, like, their whole identity is gone with Henry going to Baltimore. And I think it's kind of a transitional type year for them. So to be honest, I think it's ideal right now for them to go a different route. So I could see them saying, okay, let's get a tackle here. Let's draft an offensive tackle. So that way we can give our quarterback, like Will Levis, I think is their starter right now. Give our quarterback, while not the best, and even next year's draft. Actually, no, next year. Oh yeah, no, next year's draft class, the quarterback isn't as strong as this year. Yes, it is a very heavy offensive line draft class, but I don't know. I just don't. I think that they could. I can see both scenarios here. Okay, so I'm gonna be flip floppy on this one. I can see them staying pat. But I could also see them trying to get capital and building that team because I think. Okay, so Connor, I'm actually with you a little bit on this. Now that I'm like really talking about it out loud because I can see them saying, we are in a transitional phase of our team right now. We just lost the identity, like I said, of Henry going to Baltimore. So let's try to change this. Let's try to get like 2 picks. 2 first rounds. I don't know, like maybe mid to late first rounder and a second round pick for that pick right now, depending on who you can fleece. Don't give me. I mean, the Bears have been fleeced before. I've seen that shit happen. But I mean, we could go to the Mitch Trubisky trade. Idiots. Anyway. But yeah, no, I could. You know what? I'm kind of going to lean that they could possibly. I could see it going both ways. I'll just say it like that.
MJ.
I don't think they move, and the reason for that is I think they take Joe Alt. Because that is the way that Mike Vrabel builds his teams. He's not going to take Fletcher.
He's not their coach anymore.
Mike Vrabel's not there anymore.
Goodness, he's not.
Yeah, and they just drafted a tackle last
their coach now?
Last draft. I don't even know who the Titans head coach is now. I can't remember. Brian Callahan, that's right.
Who?
Brian Callahan. He was on the Bengals, I think. Was he on the Bengals? Yeah,
yep.
He was offensive coordinator for the
Bengals.
My brain legitimately spaced back 2 years. All right. I still don't think they move because I don't think even if the Vikings were to move up, that's the only one.
Well,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Why we're talking about it.
That's what I'm saying. I think they want one of those guys. Unless Minnesota were to give them 11 and 23, I don't see them moving out of 7. I think that's the only scenario in which they move out of 7.
But you gotta think trading up in the draft isn't you don't have just draft picks to trade for draft picks. You can trade players for draft picks.
Yeah,
so you don't necessarily have to just trade. A lot of people do it. The Eagles traded for AJ Brown with the draft pick for the Titans. It's been done a lot of times actually. A lot of people include players in their draft pick trades.
Yeah, but you don't really see those. A lot of those.
No, you don't see them often. But I'm saying it could happen, which is I don't want to riddle out that possibility. But
I think that's the only situation in which they trade down is Vikings give 11 and 20.
The Vikings. Okay. Well, I don't see the Vikings trading up behind the Giants. If the Vikings were going to trade up, it's going to be above that 6th pick because they want to make sure, hey, the Giants aren't going to draft a quarterback at number 6.
What if the Giants don't take a quarterback at number 6?
I don't think they will. But you don't know what these guys are thinking. You don't know
right.
Hey, JJ McCarthy might be the actual best quarterback in this draft class. We're going to draft him at 6. It's going to be a steal. You don't know what they're thinking. Nobody had Jahmyr Gibbs going in the first round last year, and he went in the first round to the Lions.
Okay,
it's fine. Connor thinks Caleb Williams is the best quarterback. So,
but here's the other thought that you got to put into effect, like a thing here. Like there's how many drafts have there been? 85 plus, 82, 80, 85 around there, like drafts like that been done for the NFL. So you got to think that the vast majority of those men didn't pan out. First
used to be like 15 rounds.
Right. So let's pump the brakes on that. All right, next one. We got the Falcons, huh?
The Falcons. And this is one that I actually wrote down as somebody who would trade down. Like I said, there's teams that have done really well in this offseason, and the Falcons are one of them. They signed Kirk Cousins thinking that he's going to be their franchise guy. and they were really, really good last year. All they really needed was a quarterback, right? So they're going to keep that in mind, saying, hey, we're going to go into this draft saying we just got our piece of our puzzle that we really needed, but maybe we don't have those corner pieces yet to finish that puzzle. Maybe we don't have those side pieces yet, but we have the majority of the center. But we can still get those corner pieces in the later picks in the draft. So we have this number 8 pick that is so highly desirable for some of these teams. We're going to be open to trading down. And that might just happen with the Falcons.
So here's my thing. Offensively, I think the Falcons are at a point now where they're starting to say, okay, we're kind of shoring things up. Defensively, I think if I remember correctly, they were kind of middle of the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's the spot where you could see a first defensive player off the board here, boys. I think you can see. Some people could call it a little high, but I can see Florida State's Verse going off the
I
board.
love Jared Verse.
I can see him going off the board right here because I think that they need a little bit better pass rush down there in Atlanta. And dude, I like what they're doing. I really like what they're doing down there. Even though a lot of former Chicago Bears, including front office staff, are currently advising down there as well. But we won't talk about that.
Well, it's crazy when the ownership doesn't suck how much better the front office can get.
Fair point. That's a great point too.
Chicago White Sox.
Chicago Bulls.
Yeah. I actually really like the Falcons as a trade down candidate. I think kind of like Jack's point, I think one more good piece on offense and one more good piece on defense. And they could be doing something special. So, I would love like even if they go like O-line corner and they can get just a better, if they trade down to like, what did Jack say, 12 or 13, go down a few picks, get another early second or late first, however they can figure it out. Get me another O-lineman because you're going to have to make sure that Kirk Cousins is protected. I don't care how you think your O-line was last year. You need to make sure that it is taken care of. And so if that means drafting O-line with your first pick, even if you don't think you need it, you do it.
No, that's fair too, especially because of Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury to make sure he's protected. I could
like that needs to be the best offensive line in this league other than Aaron Rodgers' offensive line, which don't get me started on that nut job today, please.
I agree. That needs to be a big reevaluation in this upcoming draft. But I love Dallas Turner, and I don't know if I did a draft preview on him or not, but I did do a lot for him into looking up a lot of his stuff. He's very, very good off the line. Like, he's super explosive, but he can also drop back in coverage, and that's something Jared Verse is not super versatile in.
Yep.
So if you were to say, hey, we want that type of guy. We want that type of versatility on our team and say, hey, if I want this guy coming off the line, I can have him just shooting off the line. But if I want him going back in coverage, I can have that as well. And Dallas Turner is the best pick right here at number 8. And he won't be there at 12 or 13. There's no way.
Are we just doing top 10?
Yeah, we probably should do top 10.
Okay, so the Bears
are
number 9, which is another team I have on here written down.
I'm gonna assume that you have them moving down, knowing you.
Now, this is my mindset, right?
This is my mindset.
I don't work like the Bears, Bruce. I don't think, I'm going to draft a wide receiver here, and you need to draft a defensive player here. If I'm the Bears, I draft a defensive player here. If I think that, hey, I'm okay with Caleb Williams, and I think he's good enough to have just DJ Moore, I might trade back and acquire more draft capital.
I'll go first, Bruce.
That's not something.
I'll take care.
But considering the circumstances that this is really Ryan Poles' make or break year, I'm gonna have to say he stays put here and draft someone here.
Wait, Connor finally realized that it's his make or break year.
I don't think it's his make or break.
It took me 3 months to get this man to realize that this is Ryan Poles' contract year, not literally, but metaphorically.
I think they should trade back, though. If I'm the Bears, I'm trading back.
He figured it out. I don't care what they should do. That's not what they're going
to.
No,
I don't even think. Why would you trade back? Why would you trade back?
They are going to take Bruce, I'll handle it. You don't even have to. I'll handle it. They're going to take a wide receiver. Their strength last year was their defense. Now, granted, they were a bad football team, so strength was relative, but their strength was their defense. Offense is what they need to focus on. They need to support whoever that rookie quarterback is. Assuming it's Caleb Williams, they need to support him to the best of their ability. So if they want to take a tackle, that's fine. If they want to take a really high value offensive lineman, that's fine too. I just think the value of wide receiver at 9 is really good. And I think that's what they're going to do. And I think that's what they should do. Taking defense there, you're going to be reaching whoever you pick, even if it's Dallas Turner. Dallas Turner could end up being the second best player in this draft. It's very possible, but I still think that that's a reach given what assets you currently have on the team. And yes, you have 2 picks in the top 10. You're making those picks after trading the number 1 pick last year.
So you're saying if Dallas Turner is available at number 9, you don't think they would think, okay, this is the best defensive player in the draft?
They might think
we might want to go ahead and draft him.
They might think it, but I don't think they do it.
No, I don't think they're trading down. And everything that I've been told here in Chicago, they're not moving.
They won't move. Not at 9.
They're not moving from the 9th spot. And if Rome Odunze does drop to that spot, like expect him to be picked by the Chicago Bears. And they need somebody else. Like there's no guarantee. I'm sorry, Keenan Allen's on the wrong side of 30. And I've made this argument before. You need to support. You need to make sure that you have you'll have a 3-headed monster for at least 2 years. A year, 2 years. Okay. And then if you want to re-sign Keenan Allen for say 2-3 year contract, okay, cool. Do a 2-year with a third year team option. So that way you're able to let him walk, and then you already have Odunze or whoever, Neighbors, probably not Neighbors. I don't think Neighbors going to drop that far. And you already have that wide receiver already filled. You already have both receiver spots filled.
Well, Connor, think about it this way. Why was Patrick Mahomes, even given his incredible talent, able to succeed so well at a young age? Because he had
an O-line, really good O-line,
and an O-line. He had Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and a stud O-line.
And according to PFF, the Chicago Bears had one of the best offensive lines in the NFL.
I don't believe that.
I'm not the pass block win rate. No, see, this is where you're wrong.
Oh, you're just going by pass block win rate. You're not going by
pass block win rate. No, pass block win rate and run block win rate. The Bears had one of the best.
Those stats are flawed though, because that doesn't mean the snap play actually succeeded. Because I can win my
individual.
Right, I can win my snap.
One of the best as well.
Yeah, and that's cool.
He's like, yeah, I know. I mean, because they are. It's not the Bears because they were terrible. Maybe it's because they had a bad quarterback that couldn't read.
No, that's totally part of it. And that was my biggest argument all along about Justin Fields was he made their O-lines look worse than they were, because it's really hard for an O-line with a scrambling quarterback like that who has no idea where he's going next. But I don't love the win rate stat. I use it to my advantage when I can, but
when it's at my advantage, you don't use it. I see you, Jack.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, who do we got next? We got Connor.
Well, I really have one. If y'all didn't want to go probably the full first round, I assume.
No,
it'd be too long. But
yeah,
the 10th spot, I see the Jets staying. If y'all think
O-line, yeah,
they stay, draft the O-lineman. The Vikings, we already decided they're going to trade up. And the Broncos was one that I had highlighted but didn't really want to talk about right now. Just something I wanted to say is Sean Payton does not really like trading back.
Saints trade down for sure.
Saints are going to trade down. Saints trade down to the 29th pick.
Oh, you think Saints trade down?
Yeah.
Okay, I just love Jared Verse so much that if he was right there at 14, I would want to draft him.
I don't think so. I think
I love Jared.
They would probably go interior lineman there. Interior offensive lineman.
I know they won't draft the interior. They'll draft the tackle.
Can we just think about the universe where the Packers or the Jets take defensive linemen?
Oh wow, that'd be hilarious. No help.
And Aaron Rodgers again doesn't have a first round offensive player taken.
Is it offensive player or is it offensive skill player?
So for the Packers, it was skill player. I think they
Okay.
drafted one offensive lineman in the first round, and the entire time Rodgers was there.
Jeez.
But for
Yeah.
skill player, the last one was Javon Walker in 2003.
Jeez.
Now,
Okay.
I
Go
did
ahead.
want to do one more pick before we kind of ended it off because this is one that I really want to talk about that I'll talk about in the mock draft next week with me and Nate. The Colts at number 15. This will be the last pick we do because we'll just round it off at the top 15.
Ooh.
I see now there is a something in me that I'm seeing that the Jaguars, a lot of people like Quinion Mitchell. And I think the Jaguars are one of those teams. Although the Colts need a cornerback here, whether you think Quinion Mitchell's the best cornerback, Terry Arnold's the best quarterback, Cooper DeJean, whatever you think, this is the draft, right? You have to be cutthroat. So if you're sitting here saying, okay, well, Quinion's going to fall to 17, that's not the mindset you have to have in the draft. You have to say, hey, we have to get this guy. If this is our guy in the first round, no questions asked, no matter what. So for me, I like the fact that the Jaguars are going to trade up to 15 with the Colts, kind of just do a little bit of trade right there, give them a little extra, a little something, and they get Quinion Mitchell at they get Quinion Mitchell at 15, and the Colts go to 17 and get Terry and Arnold if they want to.
That's only 100 points. You're gonna have to. I'm looking at the draft point thing too. So that's a fairly even trade there.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that's like a fourth round pick. Like, it doesn't take much.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, but you know that, hey, the Jaguars like this guy so much, they're going to get that guy because they say, hey, Quinion Mitchell is the man that we want in Jacksonville. He's the best cornerback in this draft. We've seen him. We've seen his tape. Well, yada, yada, yada. We're going to go to 15, make sure nobody gets him, and we're going to get him there.
Jack, it's not a freebie. Sorry, can you put that comment on the screen? It's not a freebie if they think they get value and get the player they want. I think what Connor's proposing is both of those franchises in that case get the corner that they want, and then the Jags would have to give something up, but really it's a win-win. It's not necessarily a freebie. And I agree with you guys. I think the Jags do trade up. I don't know if it's for Quinion. I think they trade up to get the corner that they want.
It might not be Quinion, but they get that corner that they want. That they
also need. DeJean does not go at 17. He's not going that high.
He's actually PFF's top corner.
Oh, he pulls the PFF.
He's somebody's top corner.
If PFF has him as the top corner because he was the top testing corner in combine stats.
But who wants I'm not saying this to be like, who wants a white cornerback? Let's be for real. When I used to grow up saying that I was going to be years ago that I was going to be the most successful white cornerback in the NFL as a joke, and there still has yet to be a white successful cornerback.
Jason Sehorn.
But who was? Yeah,
Jason Sehorn who is that? It was a super successful white cornerback.
Who is that? Not for the last 20 years.
He played for the Giants.
Like 20 years ago.
Bro, he retired in 2003, Bruce.
I was
not alive.
So like I said, there hasn't been a successful white corner in 21 years. And Cooper DeJean was guarding farmers in Nebraska. And we think he's about to come out here and guard DK Metcalf? Really? I don't care if Cooper DeJean is quick. He's not going to guard DK Metcalf. AJ Brown is going to moss him in 7 different languages. Like, Cooper DeJean isn't going to know what country he's in.
He won't know what farm he's at.
He won't know his corn from his soybeans. He won't even
toast.
Yeah,
burnt toast.
He's going to be asking to go back to milking the cows on Monday morning. Like,
was he seriously? Like, is that how he trained for real?
I have no idea. I just know he went to the University of Iowa, and I'm making so many stereotypical farm jokes. But no, like, he played in crappy competition. I don't know what he did against Marvin Harrison. I haven't watched any of his tape whatsoever. I saw his combine; it was cool. But like, I've seen some of his numbers, like, from playing in games, and it's like, oh yeah, he locked down Nebraska, and I'm like,
well, I mean, who does it? I mean,
right, exactly. Or like, he locked down.
Connor and I are about to jump in right now, corner and lock down Nebraska.
Yeah, and me and Kenny will play D tackle. Like, Actually,
Against
no,
Nebraska.
that's what Nebraska's good at, is in the trenches. Me and Kenny could probably be tight ends.
Wait, Nebraska
We'd be
actually
great.
got like the #1 recruited quarterback in this
Really?
thing. Yes, Nebraska's making big moves.
Oh, Jack literally scouted him. Okay, cool.
Nebraska.
Well, Jack
I wouldn't
Jack
be
likes them.
dogging on Nebraska in these next couple years because they might.
Brother, I'm from Illinois. I will dog on Nebraska every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Like,
I really don't care, to be honest with you. I have no affiliate with any team. Actually, I usually dog more on Big Ten teams than I do anybody else. So whatever.
I just like dogging on everybody in college because people get so particular about and angry about supporting their college teams or even like the conference that their college plays in because they want to make their team seem better because they play in this really good conference. Connor,
It's like SEC football. It's the best ever.
Hey, I was watching Draft Analysts today, and they were like implying that Dallas Turner is the best because he went against SEC offenses. I could show you the clip. They were like,
okay, well then
this
they
guy
are,
is this good against
they are
SEC
biased.
offenses.
Then they are biased.
And most of them, I think some of them played in SEC schools, so it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
you can say that.
And I couldn't realistically, and this will be a hot take, and I don't care. I could not care less. Nice.
Hot takes and sausage.
I could not care less what a single one of those draft analysts has to say. You want to know why? Because Mel Kiper has called people the greatest prospect to ever live, and then they barely play it down in the NFL. It is a guessing game. I couldn't care less. Kyle sent me today. A Bears fan, has done 321 mock drafts since the first round of last year's draft. And I'm like, I just don't care about predicting who is going to get taken where. Like, you can talk about for your team who you think might be a good fit, but even then, it is a guessing game until you get these guys in an NFL system and in an NFL building where they're getting paid to just play football. You're not going to school anymore. You're not with mommy and daddy anymore. You're not partying anymore. You are playing football for a job. And until you get them in that environment, you don't know how they're going to react. I don't know how Caleb Williams is going to react. I don't know how Dallas Turner or Romeo Odunze, I don't know how these guys are going to react. I can evaluate them now, but I have no idea how they're going to translate to an NFL game that is completely different from college. So shut up with your fake little NFL draft expert selves. Not you, Connor. You're fine, other than your SEC bias. Your mock drafts are decent. But
that's what makes it so fun, though, because we get to guess. It's just a guessing game.
Okay.
We're predicting.
It's
like the weather. It's like the weather, yeah. It's like the weather. People make money predicting what the weather's going to be tomorrow.